and gentlemen, I invite you to come on a journey with me. A journey back in time to 2011-ish, and into the land of fairy tales, because this is Once Upon a Time, Season 1, Episode 6, The Shepherd. And the most bafflingly edited fight scene I think I've ever seen. Scalagrim did a video on it sometime last year, I think, and it made him have a very sad face indeed. What even is this? But are we going to mock it? Well, yes, but only a little bit, and gently. But actually, we're going to try and make sense of it. If you're thinking, who is this woman whose aesthetic for the day appears to be Misty from Pokemon on the school run? Hi, my name is Jill Bearup, I'm an actor combatant. Sometimes I pick apart fights for fun and storytelling, and while there are many spoilers for this episode of Once Upon a Time, it's quite an old show at this point, so you probably don't care. The premise of Once Upon a Time is that storybook characters have been cursed to forget that they used to live in a magical land far away, and are instead stuck in Storybrooke. See what they did there. This episode is the backstory of David, aka Prince Charming. He has amnesia, because reasons, which is preventing the curse from giving him the fake memories he had of his life in Storybrooke. So now Henry, the little kid, is trying to jog his memories of being Prince Charming, which means that the episode has a bunch of flashbacks to Prince Charming's fairy tale life, and the first one is this. I can't show too much of it, and not at normal speed, because Disney will copyright strike me, but the short version is that this guy with the sword and shield kills this guy with the spear. But what happens next is that the guy with the spear, while dying on the ground, stabs the sword and shield guy, and the sword and shield guy dies. What a twist! I don't understand how they didn't notice until he has actually run Prince Charming through. But wait, this guy wasn't actually Prince Charming / David at all, it was Prince James, David's twin brother. And then they go off to find David and some stuff happens, but the main takeaway that I would like you to have at this point is, this fight does nothing. I mean, obviously it's a setup for plucking Charming from his life of obscurity or whatever, because his twin brother is dead, but narratively from Charming's perspective it does nothing, because this isn't him, it's his brother, who dies 2 minutes in. But maybe it's just as well that this isn't actually supposed to be a character development moment, because what is even happening? This fight is eyeball-achingly bad, even though some of the choreography is actually fine. I mean, some of it's a bit odd, but we'll get into it. So, in a general sense, I could tell you that excessive cutting in a fight scene is often to hide bad performances by actors, or hide excessive use of stunt performers, or to hide bad choreography in general. But did you even need me to tell you that it's bewildering? No, you didn't. Also, while there might be a stunt guy for the flying overhead part, I don't think they used stunt people for this really at all, or if they did, they have cut out basically all of their shots, because you can see the actors' faces for most of the time. And normally that's a good thing, it's really helpful to be able to see actors' faces while they're fighting. This is why they don't like helmets very much. But when the cuts are, on average, 0.6 seconds apart, it's not the advantage that it usually is. As you may have already noted, I went through this scene and I counted the shots, because apparently I'm a masochist. I also decided that I was going to block out the choreography. To assist in my choreographical experiment, I borrowed Duncan Woodruff, who is a stage combat instructor from Sword and Scoundrel, to assist me. I also borrowed his sword and shield and spear as well. The spear is the same one that I used for Holiday Barbie Warrior Princess. And yes, he did just leave the glittery scarf on it since then. Wouldn't you like to be Prince Charming for the next 15 minutes?
Yes, but I'm still old for Prince Charming now, so yeah, absolutely.
Okay, Prince James, show me your moves at 80% speed, so we hopefully don't get copyright struck. That's, well, okay. The rest of the fight does actually get a bit better than this, which is just as well, because that is 2 moves, but the second move is repeated 1, 2, 3, 4 times. The first move is just that. You parry one with the sword and step back. And then you bring the sword around and do a moulinet. And he doesn't even do anything with the momentum he's just created from the moulinet.
And then don't attack you.
And then don't attack you.
Don't attack, because that's crucial.
Now, there is a technique for fight editing which repeats part of a move again from different angles to make it look more impressive, to sort of hammer home how cool it is. There's nothing wrong with it per se, and it looks really great when Jackie Chan does it, but saying that something looks really great when Jackie Chan does it is a bit like saying, wow, that supermodel looks great in that ripped playsuit made of toilet roll and shattered dreams. Her whole job is to make clothes look good. If you and I tried one of those on, we're gonna look like a bin bag that's been attacked by a tag team of squirrels and herring gulls. I'm just saying. To return to the point, this move, which isn't really that impressive anyway, to make the fight look dynamic, is repeated multiple times. And you can tell that he's not doing multiple moulinets because his arm returns to its starting position every time. Which means that I'm now having flashbacks to the fence climbing scene from Taken, whatever it was. Moving on from the first two moves, how does the brute respond to all of this random time travel? Wild overhead swing of his spear starting in shot 12. Prince James does an overhead parry with his shield, hooray! And then stumbles backwards and almost falls off a cliff. Apparently being lost for anything to do, just go, ah! And then I just stand here.
Did I sell that now?
Oh, I feel like you did. I mean, it just wouldn't be sporting to stab or push your opponent off a cliff when he's windmilling his arms and clearly off balance and unable to attack you, now would it? We're on shot number 23 by the time Prince James regains his balance. So even if we count the spear hit as one and the turn and almost fall off the cliff as one, that's still 9 shots for 2 moves. What happens next?
A spin. Ah, this is confusing. Down like that. Then
Yeah.
come all the way down. Whoa.
And of course, when you fall on the ground, I don't do anything. They cut in on the spinning attack mid-edit to get even tighter in on Prince James's face. Mid-spin. Why?
I know why he does this, right? I know exactly this first bit.
Yes.
Right? It turns around and goes over and does that. Right? You could say it serves as a distraction.
Sure.
Right? It's a spin rather than just turning your back on someone. Cinematically and aesthetically, as it comes over, seeing this over the top like this is far more dramatic and shows a bigger sort of, momentum-based attack. In other words, it's like literally like he's winding up like a Matchbox car. To come over the top and do it. It looks heroic.
If only it was comprehensible. By the time we have completed the spinning attack and Prince James has got back up to one knee, we're on shot number 37.
Right, I'm splatted. You're going to give me time to get up.
Of course. And then we have some ground-based spinning, which, while choppy, was still understandable, so credit where it's due. He parries. He spins for an attack, which is avoided. He parries again. He stands up. We're on shot 46 now. More than halfway through, my friends. More than halfway through. Time for a reverse grip. What happens in this section, I am now going to break down for you because not only do we have a bewildering variety of cuts, we also have some continuity problems right at the end there. And also physics, but we'll get to that. So very slowly.
Turn into the reverse grip.
Yes.
And
I'm going to
one. Against the shield. Knock it back.
Yeah, and both
But
spin.
we both spin back round.
Prince James standing up and taking a reverse grip means he is out of range when he spins for his first attack. So I'm not sure why he did that. It's a little unclear at this point, and then there is some spear shield contact. He tries a backward stab, which is parried in shot 54. And then they start to spin, but then the brute is stabbing him through the shield. I love how we had the moulinet 4 times, but we can't even be bothered to have the entire spin. And then, physics, eh?
That's what would happen, right? It would just lift like that.
Yep.
And if you really were that strong and I was that, attached to the shield,
Yep.
I would then probably go up like this with it.
But instead,
for the sheer strength he's got, he makes a complete stable base with his enormous bicep and maintains the same shape the entire way over the top of it.
whee! Pausing the action at shot 65. Oh no, is Prince James being defeated? No, for as the brute comes in to finish him off, he rolls, grabs his sword and hits the spear with it, and then kicks the spear out of the way. If the spear was in the ground, he couldn't really... I mean, I see the point of kicking it out of the way, but why would you just hit it with the sword? That doesn't... I don't understand. And then a slash across the chest and then a stab through the heart, and I can't really show that because then I would get demonetized as well as being shouted at by Disney. It's a very hard life being a YouTuber. Anyway.
Next time, make sure I'm really dead.
We're done by shot 84, for which we are all thankful. Unless you count the out of nowhere stab at the end, which I also can't show in full. Okay, we've now been through the entire thing. Would you like to take a moment to consider that that fight is 15 attacks? If you take a slightly more generous approach and count moves, then I guess you could bump it up to 17, maybe 18. Did it feel longer than that? Not just because we broke it down? Yeah, it kinda did. But not in a good way. So this fight has 3 problems. Wait, only 3? No, let's go with 4. 4 problems. 1, it serves no real narrative purpose. It shows us that Prince James can fight, I guess, but it doesn't sell us that the brute is unkillable.
He just killed the unkillable.
If anything, Prince James's opponent is way too polite when it comes to not taking advantage of openings. You don't have to be clever to stab someone when you can see that they can't hit you back. 2, the choreography is not great. When you view it all together, it's fine, mostly serviceable. There are some things that I would tweak, but you know, we could definitely get away with it. It's just a random fight in a TV show. But the hitting of the spear with the sword at the end, the reverse grip for an entire move before we try the backwards stabby thing, the refusal, again, to take advantage of openings to try and hit your opponent. Not all of it is bad, but it's only 15 moves long. Enough of it is bad that it's concerning. And physics doesn't work like that when you try and lift a man by his shield, I'm just saying. 3 is the weight of the hits, but probably not in the way you're thinking. I put a video of this fight with the shot counter up on TikTok, and one of the commenters there said that it felt weightless because they kept cutting away before the hits. The cuts are so quick and so close together that I can absolutely see why this person got that impression. But as someone who has been through it frame by frame, I can tell you that's not quite the problem, but it's close. What happens is you see the hit and then they cut away like 3 frames later to a different angle of the hit. So we see the hit for 0.1 seconds and then they cut away to another angle of the hit and that robs it of weight. Which leads us on to 4, the editing in general. The sheer speed and variety and occasional lack of continuity of the cuts is bewildering. In addition to the previously mentioned problem that if you cut away mid-hit to another angle of the hit, it looks weightless. There are, conservatively estimated, 3 times as many shots in this fight as there need to be. 84 shots in 51 seconds, or if you don't count them kind of posing at the beginning and the end, 82 shots in 49 seconds. That is an average of a cut every 0.6 seconds, give or take. Yeah, I think we all just need to calm down a bit. I don't care how bad the fighters are, I don't care how bad the choreography is. You have other tools that you can use to speed this fight up and make it look more exciting. The first of which is just speeding the footage up. Now, they might have done this already, and there is a limit to how fast you can make it before it starts looking weird, but the cutting is not it. You can have a series of fast cuts, even very fast cuts that are only half a second long each, but there is a limit to how long you can do that for before the human brain just goes, nope, you have to let us see what's happening, otherwise our brains explode. That's... what can I tell you? But there we go. Sometimes bad fight scenes happen, even in multi-million-dollar properties. But this concludes our fight analysis for the day, and the lesson to take away, kids, is that over-editing isn't big, and it isn't clever. Speaking of editing, the final round of copy edits for Just Stab Me Now, the novel based on the Fantasy Heroine series, is ongoing. And I am getting Amazon proof copies this week so I can see what the cover looks like. My patrons and channel members will see the proof copies shortly after I get them, I'm sure, and everyone else will see them at a slightly later date, but still reasonably soon, I hope. Anyway, thank you for watching, thank you to Duncan for his help, and I'll see you all next time.